Wake up, scroll, sleep, repeat. By the time I looked up from my phone, the day was already over. That is what most of our lives look like. A loop disguised as living. Days blend into one another until we can't tell if we're moving forward or just going in circles. We keep searching for something more, something that feels meaningful, something that makes us feel alive. We all chase it, the moment that feels perfect, the moment where we feel ready, but that moment never comes. And it took one small, reckless decision for me to realize that it never would. My story began in a year that felt like a string of failures, a time when absolutely nothing seemed to go right. And maybe you faced a time just like that, the kind where your life falls apart, piece by piece, and you're just standing there, watching it happen. That's what this year was to me, a turmoil of failure, a year that tested everything I thought I knew about myself. See, growing up, I was that student, not the smartest one in the room, but smart enough for people to expect things from me. Teachers trusted me, friends looked up to me, and people told me I was going places, and I believed them because I wanted to live up to the expectations they had set for me. After all, who doesn't? Until the pressure caught up to me. My first pre-boards took a toll on my mental health, and then I lost the most important person in my life. When that happened, I did what most of us do. Pretended I was fine. But loss doesn't care about your exams or your deadlines. Slowly, friends drifted away. And in the midst of high school drama, the people that I thought would never leave, left. By the time I finished writing my boards, I was standing in a place that had once felt like home, but it didn't anymore. The same classrooms where I had made my best memories now felt foreign. And from there, it was like a domino effect. One test gone wrong, one friendship failed, one move changed everything. I felt utterly useless. Every test gone wrong felt like I was the problem. Every migraine, every sleepless night, all of them were all just proof that I wasn't enough. And slowly, I started chasing noise just so I didn't have to sit in silence with myself. And the noise disguised itself as purpose. Grades, to-do lists, the next big achievement, the next person will make it all feel worth it. And here's the irony. The harder I tried to keep everything together, the faster it slipped away. Because no one teaches you what to do when you lose the people you thought you'd have forever. Or when the things that once defined you start to mean nothing. So I kept running, not towards something, but away from the silence that follows. Until I wrote the SAT. A test that was supposed to be a milestone became my breaking point. Halfway through the exam, my heart started racing, my hands shook uncontrollably, and my mind just went blank. I couldn't do it. By the time I got home, I couldn't stop crying. Not because of the exam, but because for the first time, I realized I wasn't in control. My legs gave out when I tried to stand. My chest tightened, my vision blurred. It felt like the world was ending, and I couldn't remember how to breathe. I didn't know it was a panic attack. All I knew was that the weight I'd been carrying had finally crushed me. That evening, after the panic subsided, I faced myself in the mirror. Staring back was a stranger, hollow-eyed, tense, and unrecognizable. So I grabbed a pair of scissors. It took 15 years to grow my hair out, and only 10 seconds to cut it off. For context, this is what I looked like before, and this is what I look like now. As the strands fell to the floor, so did the weight I'd been carrying. My fear of failure, my constant need to feel enough, my obsession with control. That day, cutting my hair wasn't about the hair. It was a moment of release, my moment of Kairos. But what even is Kairos? Kairos is one of those rare, powerful moments that carry meaning beyond time. It is a moment of alignment, and every one of us, every single person in this room, has one. For some, it's hitting send on an application you weren't sure you were good enough for. For some, it's when what you've been studying for hours finally makes sense. Or even when your coffee to sugar ratio is finally miraculously perfect. Strange example, isn't it? Am I really here to talk about coffee to sugar ratios? Of course not. I'm here to talk about those rare fleeting moments when everything, no matter how big or small, has a lasting impact. Those moments where it feels like the universe for once is breathing in sync with you. That is what Kairos feels like. When I first heard about Kairos, my first question was, can this occur more than once? It's a moment of alignment, so it can't possibly be a regular occurrence. But Kairos isn't a single grand event. It's every moment when time, emotion, and action align perfectly. When something shifts inside you, and you know it's time to act, change, or decide. To help you understand this, I'll introduce you to two Greek terms, Chronos and Kairos. Chronos is the clock, seconds, minutes, deadlines. Kairos is the moment, purpose, presence, alignment. And we live so much in Chronos that we forget to make room for Kairos. We fill every pause, every break, every silence, and then wonder why we can't hear ourselves anymore. Our daily actions are influenced by hustle culture. And some of you may not realize what that means, but believe me, you've all felt it because it saturates every corner of our world. The endless reels we scroll through online, the relentless chatter at school or work, and even the unspoken pressure to keep grinding. How many of us tell each other we need to lock in? I know I do, and so do most of you. That is because we live in constant motion, always trying to achieve something, never grateful for what we have, for always chasing the next thing. And the world applauds that. Until you crash, burn out, or realize you've been living by someone else's definition of success. We live in a world that glorifies motion, where slowing down feels like failure. So we hustle, we grind, and we fill every empty moment just to prove we're moving. But when you're constantly running on autopilot, chasing the next deadline or dopamine hit, your mind and body eventually start to fight back. And that's exactly what happened to me. That's where the facade shatters and you realize you can't outrun yourself. In psychology, there's a term called cognitive dissonance. It's when what you do doesn't match what you believe. And your brain hates it. It starts sending signals of discomfort, anxiety, guilt, exhaustion to force alignment. That's what my panic attack really was. It was my body saying, "You've ignored me long enough." And I think many of us do that. We confuse endurance with strength. We wear stress like a badge of honor and we call burnout ambition. Our daily conversations have become competitions over who slept the least, as if exhaustion somehow proves that we're moving, that we're doing something, that we're working harder. And that precisely is cognitive dissonance at play. Deep down, we know this isn't healthy, but we've trained ourselves to believe that struggle equals success. So when our sleepless nights, skip meals, and constant stress don't match what we know is right, our brain rewrites the story. It convinces us that burnout is ambition, and we're simply not trying hard enough. But Kairos happens when you're fully awake to life and ready to respond. Your moment of alignment will come, not when you're looking for it, but when you start living with awareness instead of fear. Because awareness is where we find our true selves. Awareness is where I found myself. After my moment of Kairos, nothing magically changed. I just started saying yes to things I would have overthought before. I agreed to co-write a book titled Design Thinking in AI, despite having no experience whatsoever in AI, trusting that my knowledge of design thinking would bring value to the book. I showed up for a business competition I didn't even realize required a selection interview, and still got in, won first place, and secured an internship. I applied for TEDx as well because I figured what's the harm in trying? And somewhere between the drafts, the losses, and the panic, I found myself playing basketball, the same sport I had quit years ago. I am terrible at it, by the way, but for once it wasn't about winning. It was about doing something I love. There's a quote I love. Life can only be understood backwards, but it must be lived forwards. I didn't understand the meaning of it until I looked back and realized how many moments I had dismissed just because they didn't fit my plan. Think about it. How many of your best moments were unplanned? Life doesn't wait for your perfect schedule. It doesn't wait for you to feel ready. And the sooner we accept that and move forward in life with courage, the more life rewards us. Maybe you haven't found your Kairos yet. Or maybe deep down you already have, but you haven't acknowledged it for what it is. Maybe it's that gut feeling you keep ignoring, the idea that you're too scared to start, the habit that you know you need to break. And just like everything else in life, you will find your Kairos, not when you're looking for it, but when you've accepted your realities and decided to continue forward. When I look back at that night, I don't think about fear anymore. I think about that silence, that strange, peaceful pause after the noise ended. Because that's what Kairos felt like. Not fireworks, not revelation, just peace. That is what Kairos really is. It isn't about change arriving suddenly, but rather about us finally stopping to face what was already there. So let me leave you with this. What if Kairos isn't about change finding you, but about you finally paying attention? You don't need a plan. You just need to be present. Kairos was never something to wait for. It unfolds the moment you stop searching and start truly living. Thank you.